How do? Short article on Boris Becker. Then me and Stephen going up to pit site. Let's get out in some fresh air. Okay. Boris Becker could face deportation from UK Home Office confirms. Ex-tennis star may have to represent himself in a potential case that could set post-Brexit legal precedent. Boris Becker will be considered for deportation, the Home Office has confirmed. As experts said, the potential battle could set a legal precedent and Becker may have to represent himself in court if he wants to remain in the UK. The reason I'm talking about this now is when I get up on the pit site, I'm going to be talking about deportation of criminals. Last week, the former tennis star was jailed for 2 years and 6 months for hiding millions of pounds worth of assets after being made bankrupt in June 2017. Becker, sentenced under the Insolvency Act, will serve half the full prison term. A Home Office spokesperson said that while it did not routinely comment on individual cases, any foreign national, remember this bit, any foreign national who is convicted of a crime and given a prison sentence is considered for deportation at the earliest opportunity. Considered, remember that, considered. Okay, calm down now, Sambo. Such a development is likely to make case history because the Home Office may claim that Becker's criminal offences continued after the Brexit withdrawal agreement was implemented 31st December 2020, which made immigration law for EU citizens more stringent. The ambiguity means Becker, who is not thought to have taken British citizenship, could either be considered for deportation under the previous more relaxed version of the UK Borders Act 2007 or the updated version which was implemented on December 31st. Fighting against it could cost up to 30,000, as experts said, meaning Becker may have to represent himself. Okay, it goes on a little bit more, this, talking about offending behaviour, political issues and the like. We don't need to know all that. Here's a bit. Appeals can typically take 6 to 12 months to be processed and are very expensive, said Leon Glenister, a barrister at Landmark Chambers. The presumption is that he will receive a deportation order, but although one has to consider his right to a private and family life, I can see that isn't going to give him much hope. Even if Becker goes to high street lawyer to defend him, costs can reach 30,000. The only other option is for him to represent himself as a litigant in person. This is not unheard of, but it can be quite complicated, so it's not advised. So you get the point there. They're going to consider him for deportation once he's finished his sentence as a criminal. Yeah? Okay. Bear all that in mind. I'll see you shortly. I'll see you. Go on, kidder. Go on. Good lad. Boom. And we're back in the room as promised. On the old Loft House Colliery pit site. So, Boris Becker. Deportation. Landmark case. For me, if he does his prison time and that, no need to deport him. That's like rubbing salt in wounds, he's a bit of a sporting legend and that. Yeah, he has fallen from grace, but deporting him, bit of political issue that. For me, leave him well alone. However, the topic of today, deportation. So when I worked at Strangeways, for those here that are new to the channel, not from this country, Strangeways, or HMP Manchester, for me it'll always be called Strangeways, public sector prison. I worked on K-wing, biggest wing in the prison. We had all manner of prisoner on there, every long-termers, lifers, murderers, people in petty crime, car crime, people with mental health issues. We had everything. We had a fair smattering throughout the jail and on K-wing of foreign national prisoners. So, on a regular basis, somebody would point one of these lads in my direction, so they'd approach you with a letter. Not always did these lads speak good English, but they had a good understanding. Beautiful guys. Quick look up here while I'm here. So they would approach me with paperwork, with a date on of their release. So as I'm speaking to them, that is their time for release. Yeah, I know you're gorgeous. That's their time for release. So I would then explain, you are a foreign national prisoner. You're due for deportation, and you won't be released today. Didn't always go well. We had a foreign we had a foreign nationals officer at that time. That was a prison officer. That was his speciality. He would go around the prison looking at foreign nationals and their problems. I'd always get him to come if I could. Prison officers go, slight in build, fantastic interpersonal skills, great organiser. In that job, did a lot of work. Probably the work of 3 normal people, really good at it. So he'd turn up, he'd explain, de-escalate. Sometimes it would end up in a restraint. People would get frustrated and the like. Because quite often, the deportation side hadn't been explained to them. So they come into prison, do the time, and then don't get released. So what happens then? There were various companies. My mate used to work for an American company. I thought they were called Wackanut. I'm not quite sure how they spell that. But he used to go to various establishments, detention centres and the like. They would get a prisoner, as it were, or foreign national. They would be handcuffed and they would be flown wherever in the world they were being deported to. We had UK officers, detention services. I'm not sure what bracket they come under. They would collect people from our prison. Mostly these people went to detention centres. Now the detention centres, Stevie, come on lad, Stevie. That was a crap whistle, weren't it? These detention centres were hellholes. I've been to one, never worked there, spoke to people who have. One of them, Harmsworth was it called, detention centre, London Way, near one of the airports. Went up a few times. What do I mean by that? Riot, mutiny, prison officers in full riot gear, fire engines, police, the whole 9 yards. Not pleasant places to be. You can understand that. People getting deported. Come and lie down, kiddo. People getting deported. Not happy at being there. Didn't want to be there. So this is how it went. Some of these prisoners would sit in Strangeways, maybe 3, 4, 5 months, even more. Then they'd be released, strangely enough, not be deported. Others would wait a few days, get taken to a detention centre and get deported. No sort of, you didn't know what was going to happen with people. Not all major criminals, some were. So I'm going to tell you about one who was extreme. Stevie, what's this? I need to get him more here, guys. There's a big smelly lake down there. What's this? Come here. Here? Go on, lie down with that. Good lad. The extreme. He was an Iraqi prisoner. So he had finished his sentence and he was up for deportation. Mental Health Act kicked in. Right, this lad, we had him a few times on the healthcare at Strangeways. He went to Ashworth High Security Hospital a couple of times. Was he mentally unwell? You know, what he was is he was quite determined not to be deported, and he self-harmed. Those that are new to the channel, I have my own scale of self-harm. 1 to 10, 1 to 3 is manipulation. 4 to 8 is people who might have self-harmed for a number of years, you know, through abuse, trauma in childhood. 4, you know, maybe you wouldn't see the signs. 8, possible heavy scarring on arms and legs. The 8's always a risk of infection. And then we got 9 or 10s. This lad was a 9 or 10. That's people who can quite definitely die from their harm. Some scarring on this lad, not particularly bad. However, he used to bloodlet. He used to go into the nook of his elbows and he would bleed himself. At times, he would bleed himself into a cup and pour it down the toilet, so you weren't aware he was doing this. You know, he would pass out, he would refuse to take fluids, which all make him a very high risk of heart attack and dying. He quite definitely didn't want deporting, and he was, when I say playing a game, I'm sure you understand, it's no game. You know, he was his purpose was not to be deported. He went to Ashworth High Security Hospital a few times. People who in prison self-harm to his level are possibly always going to come under mental health services and go to hospitals. If they're unmedicated, they will be medicated and monitored, and people try and keep them alive. He went to them a few times and came back to us. That was his life. So standing back now and looking at that, that's an Iraqi person. He's done a prison sentence. Weren't particularly a serious offence. However, up for deportation, purposeful in not wanting to return. And his life was prison, high school mental hospital, self-harming. That was it. No quality of life. When he was on the healthcare, he never went on exercise. He never socialised with anybody else. He would talk to nursing staff. He would talk to the officers. But obviously, you know, that was his purpose. I don't know what, or can't remember what happened to him. A very difficult one. But the fact that he came under the Mental Health Act meant he couldn't be deported. Another lad we had in the gated cell, young lad, about 25. He came on about 4 days before his release. That's what we were told. When I looked into it, he had just served a quite lengthy sentence for rape. So I remember my manager getting him in the office. A beautiful boy while I'm talking. My manager getting him in the office. You know, he was very tearful and upset, asking him what his problem was. He said he had a lovely girlfriend and a baby and he was going to get deported. I did mention the fact that you have committed a serious crime. My manager didn't thank me for that. And that's why you were being deported. For me, you know, I can't show any sympathy for people like this. However, I will tell you that this lad did get deported. Yeah, and I would see him again back in Strangeways about 12 months later. Here's the thing, let's look at Boris Becker. We deport him, yeah. He's not coming back to this country. I don't know whether he can come on a holiday or visit friends or family or anything like that. He would probably have to have permission or something similar. He's not going to come back here and live here. You know, he's not a threat to the public. This lad, you know, the young rapist, he's been deported, yeah. 12 months later, he's back in Strangeways. I don't know what he was back in for, but the fact is that these people we are deporting come back to this country. Come back to this country. So at numerous occasions, we had a Romanian lad. He was involved in fraud, credit card fraud, and similar sort of crimes, yeah. 3 times I saw him in our prison. Twice he came on healthcare. He was early onset of something like Parkinson's disease. I've no doubt about that. However, what he would do on the wings, he would lay on the floor in a catatonic state, which I know you can end up like. However, so he would then end up on the healthcare. He would come on the healthcare, he would socialise, go on exercise, play pool, and then at times he would lay on the floor in a catatonic state. Yeah, I'm not medically trained, not medically qualified. I am qualified in experience. So one dinner time, a lad comes to me, you better get a nurse. There's something wrong with this lad. I went to his cell, he's laid on his back with his arms stiff. Yeah, I said, right, I'm closing this cell door. He also proclaimed not to understand English very conveniently. Sorry about the train, guys. Laid on the cell floor. I gave him 10 seconds. I said, I'm shutting the door and you don't get your dinner. We turned his back, walked away, and he was straight past me to get his lunch. Yeah? 3 times in the prison, 3 times deported. The people we should be deporting are the serious criminals. We've got our own criminals, you know, who, sex workers, I'm not talking about the sex workers, people who control them, traffickers and the like, drug dealers, you know, sex cases. We've got everything in this country. We don't need any more. The UK jails, yeah, are full of foreign national prisoners. No one ever discusses it. There is a lot in there. When we were in the EU, there was a deal with the EU whereby any prisoners, for instance, we got at one bit quite a few Polish prisoners. So the Polish prisoners, under the law as it stood then, I don't understand it completely, but they could be sent back to Poland to finish their sentence, and any English prisoners could be sent from Polish jails back to us. I don't know how many prisoners from this country are in foreign jails, or exactly how many foreign nationals are here. But that was there. As far as I know, no one ever gets sent anywhere. You know, we kept all our foreign nationals, they kept our prisoners. That's how it is. Like I said, these people can come back in the country and continue to commit crime. It's a bit of a joke. Yeah, the whole deportation thing. So Boris Becker, for me, you know, they're going to set a precedent, some rules, and make a bit of a statement with him, which, you know, just leave him alone. He's a sporting legend. If he wants to come out, live his life over here, he's not someone I'm going to worry about. On a final note, legal aid. I'm not laughing for that reason. Legal aid. If you don't know, you're not from this country, legal aid is what it says. There is some criteria, and out there is money to get someone legal aid. Everyone who lands in a UK police station is entitled to some legal advice and the like. There is criteria. There's legal aid for crime, legal aid for non-related crime, family courts and the like. I've had a look at it, the criteria, etc. Yeah, I understand, you know, the human rights and everything, but as a parting shot, let me just give my 2 penneth, as my nan used to say, on this one. If 3 people, yeah, who have been convicted and served prison sentences for offences against children, have been involved in a grooming gang, if those 3 people, yeah, can be deported and should be deported, then that's what should happen. Whatever the criteria, whatever anyone in the legal system says, those people being able to claim legal aid, UK taxpayers paying for them to defend themselves, not to be deported, is wrong. Yeah? Integrity, morals, everything else, it's wrong. If you've committed offences of that nature, serious nature, bam, straight to airport and you're gone, never to return. I'm going to leave it there. Stevie, come here, lad. There you go, good boy. Hey? Welcome new subscribers. Thanks to everyone who supported the channel. I'll see you.